All right, let's dive in, shall we? Today, we're exploring the world of Kenneth Grant and his book, Beyond the Mauve Zone.
A deep dive indeed.
Grant, a leading figure in the Typhonian Ordo Templi Orientis, the OTO, delved into some pretty unique areas of occultism. His work, well, it blends Western magic with influences you wouldn't typically expect, Tantra, ancient Egypt, even H.P. Lovecraft.
You could say that he wasn't afraid to push the boundaries. A lot of people find his ideas controversial, to say the least.
Absolutely, and that's what makes this exploration so fascinating.
Absolutely. It's a wild ride.
By the end of this, you'll grasp key concepts like the Mauve Zone, the Fire Snake, and the Cosmic Chain. We'll also connect these to broader esoteric traditions, from ancient Tantra to modern Western magical practices.
And maybe, just maybe, you'll start to see the world a little differently.
Let's start with this Mauve Zone. Even the name sounds like something straight out of a science fiction novel. What exactly are we talking about here?
Okay, so think of it as a barrier, a membrane. It separates our everyday reality from other, stranger dimensions. Grant describes it as a veil between worlds, and very few have dared to venture beyond it.
Which, of course, makes his exploration all the more intriguing. And speaking of veils, the cover of Beyond the Mauve Zone plays with that imagery. It features these two jeweled beetles flanking a crystalline structure, almost like they're guarding a gateway.
It's a striking image, and it's not just a cool visual. It directly connects to Grant's ideas about how we can access these other dimensions. He points to Lamb as a key.
Lamb. Now, I know some of our listeners might be thinking, wait, isn't that a yoga thing?
Yeah, you're not entirely wrong. Lamb is a mantra used in some tantric traditions, but Grant links it to the deepest state of sleep where our awareness shifts. He sees it as a key to unlocking those hidden gates, those dimensions beyond the Mauve Zone, the places that exist beyond our normal perception.
So the Mauve Zone isn't just some abstract concept. Grant is saying it's something we all encounter, a barrier to expanded consciousness.
Exactly. And he suggests that certain individuals throughout history have managed to pierce that veil, and their actions have profoundly impacted humanity's evolution.
Hold on. Who are some of these figures Grant puts forth? What makes their role so pivotal in this whole cosmic chain idea?
Well, one of the most prominent figures Grant places on this cosmic chain is Aleister Crowley, a figure who needs no introduction in the world of occultism.
Right, of course.
Crowley believed that a new eon, the Eon of Mut, was set to begin in 1947, based on his calculations of a 1,160-year cycle. And Grant sees this reflected in a surge of paranormal activity and interest in the extraterrestrial around that time, particularly the rise of UFO sightings.
Wait, are we talking about a connection between UFOs and the dawn of a new eon?
That's precisely what Grant proposes. He even suggests that Crowley's work with the New Isis Lodge played a role in ushering in this new era.
Now, the New Isis Lodge. That sounds like something out of a Dan Brown novel. What exactly was Crowley doing there?
Crowley used that name for his magical workings back in 1914, which were aimed at contacting non-human entities. Grant interprets these workings as being central to Crowley's role in the cosmic chain, the transfer of this magical current across time.
So, this cosmic chain, it's like a lineage of individuals, each contributing to the evolution of consciousness, influencing the rise and fall of entire eons, vast periods of time shaping human civilization.
Precisely. And Grant's suggesting that these transitions between eons aren't always smooth or peaceful.
Okay, now this is where it starts to get really interesting for me.
Yeah.
Because Grant doesn't shy away from connecting these massive shifts with some pretty intense events.
He ties them to the awakening of a powerful force, something he calls the Fire Snake.
The Fire Snake. Okay, I think we need to unpack that one next.
It's definitely one of his more potent and maybe even unsettling concepts. And it just might change how you view some major events in our history, like the detonation of the atomic bomb.
This is where I'm completely hooked. I'm ready to go down this rabbit hole with you. All right, the Fire Snake. It sounds intense, maybe even a little bit intimidating. What exactly did Grant have in mind with this concept?
It's definitely one of his more evocative ideas, and it connects to a lot of different traditions. Essentially, Grant saw the fire snake as this primal force, an energy that could be awakened in a few different ways. He connected it to the Kundalini energy in tantric traditions, that serpent-like energy that's said to lie dormant at the base of the spine.
So we're talking about awakening this powerful energy, but with a twist, because Grant didn't stop there, did he?
Right. He went a step further and suggested that contact with extraterrestrial forces could also trigger the awakening of the fire snake. He saw this reflected in various historical events and even in certain mystical diagrams like the Sri Chakra Yantra.
Now, the Sri Chakra, I remember seeing that in the source material. It's this intricate pattern with triangles and circles. But how does it connect to this powerful serpentine energy?
The Sri Chakra is a visual representation of the cosmos and the pathways of energy within it. Grant believed that it actually mapped the movements of the fire snake, showing how this energy could be awakened and directed.
Hold on. This is where I need a little help connecting the dots.
Hmm.
Because we're talking about an ancient mystical diagram, a concept from Tantra, and then Grant throws in extraterrestrials and the atomic bomb. It's a lot to process.
It is, and that's part of what makes Grant's work so challenging but also so fascinating. He was drawing connections between things that most people wouldn't even think to put together. But let's go back to the atomic bomb for a second. That was a huge part of his fire snake theory.
You know, I have to admit, when I read that part, I thought, okay, this is where he loses me. But then the more I thought about it, the more it kind of made sense in a strange way.
What's fascinating here is how Grant viewed the detonation of the atomic bomb in Hiroshima in 1945. He saw it as a pivotal moment, almost like a violent, uncontrolled surge of this primal fire snake energy on a global scale.
It's a pretty intense concept. To think that such a devastating event could be linked to some kind of cosmic energy surge. I'm guessing this ties back to the whole eon of Maat thing we were discussing earlier, right?
Exactly. Remember, Crowley believed that the eon of Maat began in 1947. Grant seems to be suggesting that the atomic bomb was a catalyst, a marker of the transition between eons. It's like the old world had to be shattered to make way for the new.
I'm starting to understand why some people find Grant's work controversial, but it's hard to deny the way he makes you think differently about history and these major events.
He's not offering simple answers, that's for sure. And this fire snake concept, it's not just about these big historical shifts. Grant also links it to personal transformation. He saw the awakening of the fire snake as something that could happen on an individual level, too.
Okay, now that raises a lot of questions for me. How do we navigate this fire snake energy in our own lives? Is it something to be feared or embraced? And how does this connect to this Set Typhon figure Grant keeps bringing up?
Those are great questions, and they take us further down the rabbit hole, because Set Typhon is where Grant's work gets even more, let's say, unorthodox.
Well, buckle up, listener, because we're going to meet a deity who's part ancient Egyptian god, part Lovecraftian horror, and maybe even part extraterrestrial. So we've got this fire snake energy, this primal force. It's coursing through history, right? Impacting not just individuals, but global events. And now we're bringing Set Typhon into the mix.
Yeah.
That's a name that honestly sends chills down my spine. I mean, it just evokes images of chaos and destruction.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's understandable to have that reaction to Set Typhon. He is a powerful figure, a force to be reckoned with. And Grant's interpretation of him, well, it blends ancient Egyptian mythology with a Lovecraftian cosmic horror vibe, that's for sure.
A bit intense.
Yeah, but remember, Grant's approach to the occult is all about finding connections, uncovering hidden patterns.
Okay, so how does Set Typhon, this deity who embodies chaos and the unknown, how does he fit into all of this? How does he connect to the fire snake, to the dawning of a new eon?
Well, Grant sees Set Typhon as a force of destruction, yes, but also as a force of creation. Think of it like this. You can't build something new without first clearing away the old. Right.
Right.
So Set Typhon represents that tearing down of old structures to make way for the new. He's the force that drives the transition between eons, the one who shakes things up and breaks down the old to pave the way for the new.
So it's not just about destruction for the sake of destruction. It's about clearing the way for something new to emerge.
Exactly. And Grant seems to be suggesting that embracing the energy of Set Typhon, understanding its movements, and even working with it is essential for navigating the challenges and opportunities of the current eon. It's about finding a way to work with the chaos, not against it.
You know, it's interesting because we were talking earlier about how Grant connected the fire snake to the atomic bomb. And when you think about it, that event really did shatter the old world order and usher in a new era.
It's a powerful example, yeah, of how Grant's ideas can make you rethink history, see these debates in a whole new light. He was drawing these connections between things that seemed so disparate. Ancient deities, mystical diagrams, global events, even personal experiences.
And speaking of personal experiences, there was that story about Nima that really caught my attention. This woman in Ohio who claimed to be receiving transmissions from Set Typhon. That's a pretty wild concept, to put it mildly. What do you make of that?
It's a fascinating story, absolutely. And it shows how Grant was open to exploring these unconventional ideas and experiences. He actually included some of Nima's work in Beyond the Mauve Zone, lending a certain level of validation to her claims.
It's almost like he's saying that this connection to Set Typhon, this fire snake energy, isn't just some abstract concept. It's something that can be accessed and experienced on a personal level.
That's one way to interpret it, for sure. Grant's work is full of these threads, these connections that weave together all these different traditions and ideas. The Kabbalah, Tantra, Egyptian mythology, Lovecraft, even quantum physics. It's like he's creating his own unique tapestry of esoteric knowledge.
It's a lot to take in,
Hmm.
but it's also incredibly stimulating. It makes you want to go out and do your own research, explore these ideas further.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's the beauty of a deep dive like this. It's just the starting point, right? Grant's work isn't about giving you all the answers. It's about prompting you to ask the right questions, challenge your assumptions, and to look at the world with fresh eyes.
So as we wrap up our exploration of Beyond the Mauve Zone, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from this?
I hope our listeners will walk away with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Grant's work may be complex and controversial, but it's also incredibly thought-provoking. He invites us to step outside our comfort zones, to explore the boundaries of reality, and to consider the possibility that there's so much more to the universe than meets the eye.
And who knows, maybe you, dear listener, maybe you've already had a brush with the Mauve Zone. Maybe you felt a flicker of that fire snake energy within you. The question is, will you venture beyond the veil? Will you explore what lies on the other side?